What's up, everybody? Tyler Davis with Risk Life News, back for another trade review, as well as just kind of a look into the rest of the week, see what we're watching for here. What we're looking at here right now is the NASDAQ or the NQ weekly chart, the NQ Futures weekly chart. You can see that the weekly chart has been in a pretty strong uptrend since we put in this low here back in April. This is the week of April 7th, it looks like. So that week started the uptrend. We got a big weekly trend bar, followed by a weekly inside bar, and then from there, trend bar, another inside bar. I guess we might have broken above that week's high. I don't need to go through every bar in the weekly chart here. Clearly, it's been pretty straight up. Any red bar we've been putting in has not pulled back. It has not broke below the previous bar's low. So if you look at all these red bars, did not break below the previous week's low. This one did, but then came back up above. No break below and closed strong. No break below, no break below, no break below. It's a gap up and just went. You can see these bars. None of these weekly bars are really breaking below the previous bar's low until right here. We had another little one, but then strong close. And then as we get towards these last few weeks here, you can see we're pretty straight up trend bar. Couple of tighter weeks in a row, but still grinding our way up, followed kind of by a bigger rejection. The biggest red bar we had in a while broke down below the three previous weeks bars. So that's kind of our was our first sign. Oh, maybe we're getting a weekly pullback, and then we immediately have a strong week and reverse it, which brings us to the previous week, which had the trend day on Tuesday, but then has sort of faded and consolidated ever since, leaving us with a bit of a doji on the previous week. And then our current weekly bar only has Sunday night and Monday's price action currently showing. So when I look at this weekly chart, it does say to me, oh, okay, a break below this weekly bar's low could indicate that maybe we have put in the short-term top on this trend. So that is the area that I'm going to be watching closely. The previous week's low is 23,587.50. If this week would continue to break down below, it looks like we could be in for a little bit of a weekly pullback, but we shall see. That's definitely going to be an area of interest for me, is the previous week's low. Now let's take a look at this daily chart. NASDAQ daily chart, you can see same thing. Obviously, it's a strong uptrend. When we had that 1 week, that was the bigger pullback. You can see it's really from these two pretty ugly red days that we had here, which we then erased pretty quickly. And now we have the daily chart, which is still just a daily pullback. You could say, oh, it's, this is a daily downtrend. We put in 1, 2, 3, 4 red days in a row. But when you really look at it, we still have not, this would have, it's a little more of a pause bar, really. We have a kind of a long way to go before for me to consider the daily trend having flipped, we would need to continue to pull back, rally, put in a potential lower high, and then make a new lower low. We haven't made any new lower lows. We had this strong trend day on Tuesday, and then it's been a ugly, tough, tight, rangy action ever since. So trend day, tough action for 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row now. And so today on today's stream, I actually mentioned this. I gave caution. I said, I think today has the potential to range in between these two levels. I think it's a day where if you keep aiming for bigger moves, you could get your cheeks clapped both to the upside and the downside, because we didn't have any economic data fueling us today. We didn't have it's Monday. It's the first day of the week, and it just the way price acted during the overnight session. All the individual names I was looking at, everything was pretty flat. There's nothing that was sticking out to me like, ooh, today is going to be a wonderful trading day. quite the opposite, actually. So let's dive in to today's action a little bit more detailed. We'll scale it down to the 5-minute chart here. All right, so first, let's go back to our levels. And so I actually, sometimes on Sunday nights when the market opens, you'll get a nice push of volume to start the week. And I was at my desk watching market open, and we'll zoom in a little bit more on this. All right, so this is our opening bar. This dotted yellow line was our overnight opening print. So the original 5-minute bar opened and just pushed really strong, strong to the upside. Now, we had opened in the middle of these two levels that I had, which were 23,767, 23,823.75. We did also have a lower level down here, which never got tested on Friday. We front ran the level by a 1.5. So I was looking for 733 to trade on some shorts actually on Friday, and we missed that. I caught some profit on that, but anywho, I digress. So market opened last night. We got this initial push up towards the upper level. As we got into the level and got like a little bit of a pullback, I'd have to maybe go to a 2-minute to show it a little more. Yeah, really, my entry was, we had this really strong opening 2-minute bar, a little push down here, and I thought to myself, you know what, I think we're going to get above 823.75 and go a little higher. So I just entered on this pullback, and it very quickly worked in my favor. As this continued to trend upwards throughout the night, I held this well. I added at this pullback here, because this pop up, and ended up locking in some good profits overnight on this move up. Let's go back to the 5. Depending on how we scale this. So yeah, we had this, this move up, this kind of consolidation. Every time we got a pullback, I would add a little bit more, and I actually ended up exiting most of this position right around 23,880s, and I kept some runners on with stops at break even. And at that point, I just went to bed. I was like, if we can continue to trend upwards, who knows? We'll see what happens. And I was just down to a couple runners. I had my stops at break even, went to sleep, woke up, stopped out of those positions, which is fine, no big deal. But then if we look at the rest of the action from the overnight session, we had the original push up, trend higher, trend higher, trend higher, and then we started to fade, sold off, and then from about 3 a.m., so this is the 3 a.m., we have the London Open session. So the London Open session, this whole area right here, we just consolidated and didn't go anywhere. And so my bias coming into the day was a little bit torn. I actually leaned a little bit to the short side, but I still can't get overly bearish because the higher time frames are not in a downtrend. But we were pretty flat, so my expectations were pretty low. We had this lower level at 733, and I actually said on stream that I would not be surprised if we ranged between 23,823.75 and 23,733. I said this in the morning. Now, I personally had taken a trade pre-market around 8:30 a.m. Right in here. We had the pre-market lows. I thought, we've consolidated near these lows all night. We haven't been able to break any lower. Maybe we open and get a push off the bat. So I took some longs. I had some profit to play with. I held this through the morning, and on this initial push up, I didn't hold it all the way to the level. I was like, you know what? I already have profits from earlier. We got this initial push up, and I took my profits there. And those were my only two trades. The very open of the Sunday night session, and then about an hour before market open, which I held into market open and caught the original push up. I'm glad that I did that because this 2 minute, as it wicked and was setting up, I was anticipating us to come tag this level, and I almost held my trade and added into it a little bit, but I'm glad I didn't because then we just faded it to the lower level. And this was very tricky for me because had I continued the trade, this would have been frustrating because this first hour of the day, see, this is 10:20, so this is our what time frame am I on right now? I'm on the 5 minute. So it took until an hour into the New York session to tag either of my levels that I was watching. We got really close, didn't quite get there. Sold off, got really close, didn't quite get there. Rallied. The middle level here saw some reactions, right? But it was, you could have taken, maybe you have this red bar, you could have went short a break below this level, kind of a 5 minute sell setup, targeting 733. You would have got clapped to the upside. You could have thought, okay, we're holding this level, we're going to trend to the upside. We tagged it, quickly failed, came back into the middle range level. You could think, okay, this wick, this rally, we're going to rally back up and trend, and failed that back down to the low. Got below 733. Could have went short here. All right, we're down below the level. We're finally going to break one way. Hard wick, rally back up, back into the level. But today was, have you ever heard the press conference? I think it was from an Arizona Cardinals head coach, and he's like, they were who we thought they were. We let them get away with it. I don't know if you've ever seen that press conference. It's pretty funny, but today was like the price action was what I thought it was going to be. I said it early in the day. If you go back and watch the stream, I think we're in a range between this level and this level today. I think you could get your cheeks clapped in both directions. And so I called it a day early. I hopped off a stream at 10. I was out of my first trade in the first 5 minute candle. And so, what I'm happy about is I didn't push it. I didn't overly push it. I trusted my instincts on the range. And I didn't get back my profits. The last few times I've come on stream with profits to play with, I've gotten a little reckless. I come out firing on all cylinders, taking too many trades, get back my profits, flip red, get a little tilty, you know what I mean? So today was one of those days where I was very happy to be hands off. Yes, you could have, if you are expecting a range, like I like to trade with trends, I like to be more of a trend trader. If you are someone like me today who said, hey, I am identifying a range today, I think today is going to give us a rangy action, you could have sold the range highs down to the range lows and then bought the range lows, back up to the range highs, and that's fine. But there's still a lot of chop in between here that you could have paper cut yourself to death. These are the types of days when the market, 733, so it is a 100-point range, but the NQ average true range is normally more than that. I think it's, I haven't looked it up in a little while, but I think it's normally closer to 300 points. So, we only moved 1/3 of the average true range on NQ. So today is one of the types of days, the price action, the style price action, where most traders get their cheeks clapped, where most traders blow up because they keep thinking, oh, we're going to get the breakout, oh, we're going to get the breakdown, and instead they just get chopped to death. And sometimes it's just better to trust your gut, trust your instincts, and avoid the range action, especially when you had profits already, and there's no sense in fighting something that's not an A+ setup. This is our overnight opening print. It's dotted yellow line. That's where we opened Sunday night to open the week. Look where price is right now. Quite literally, exactly at 23,795. So we have moved literally 0%. So there was just it was just, oops. Yeah, it's just one of those days I'm very happy to avoid. Not every day is going to be great action. And if you played the range today, maybe you stacked some bread, maybe you're able to get out alive. I hope that's the case. But if not, learn from it, where when you identify a range, maybe you've taken a couple losses, instead of sitting here all day through this choppy, shitty price action, just walk away, go touch some grass, go enjoy your day, because the mental stress of this a lot of times is not worth the mental capital that you burn trying to find a trade in here. But yeah, hopefully you were able to pull some value out of this. We'll be back on stream tomorrow morning right around 9 a.m. Hopefully we'll get some better action. I don't know, at one point I think we'll get there. I don't know. I don't have a real strong bias one way or the other the rest of the week. Like I said, I'll be watching the previous week's low. I think if we fade down to there, I think it's it's possible we could see a weekly pullback after we've had such a strong uptrend for a while. I think we're due for a little bit of a bigger pullback here, so that wouldn't surprise me. But I'm also not trying to time the top of all-time highs. So I'm going to try to keep it light, keep it nimble this week, try to stay alive. If we can stack some green days, that'll be great. But more about survival mode this week than I am trying to get rich. So, all right, if you watch this video and you got some value out of it, please smash that subscribe button, leave a comment, give me some feedback. If you rock with Risk Life News, I love you, and I appreciate you, and peace out, everybody.